on since I'm sharing a lot about kind of like about me and about my personal life, whatever. So I wanted to come on and tell you all about my child. Hey everyone, it is Chastity.Elise. I am back for another video. This time I am actually talking about my child. Since I'm sharing a lot about kind of like about me and about my personal life, whatever. So I wanted to come on and tell you all about my child. I do have a kid, however, it's not the kind of kid that you think. So as you all will see behind me, I have this piece of artwork. It's a picture of a boxer. It is by, I can't think of the artist's name right now, but I will post a link in the comments. He has a lot of other pictures that are like really similar to this one. And I'll just like lift it up and then I guess we'll zoom in so you all can get a good look. So that is the artwork that I purchased when I first bought this home. My child is actually a dog. His name is Jax, and basically what Jax means is that God is gracious. Like, I looked at Maltese puppies, I looked at like Schnauzer puppies, I also looked at boxers. Because my thing was, I wanted to get a cat. So I was like, well, I want to get a dog and I want to get a cat. So I want to get a dog that will be very sociable and very friendly. I looked at Maltese and Schnauzer puppies just because my dad has allergies. And I'm like, well, if a dog's going to be in the house, I didn't necessarily want a dog that was going to shed a lot. And then I also wanted a dog that my family could have in the house that they wouldn't be allergic or have any allergic reactions to. So I looked at those small dogs first. And then I'm like, well, you know, this is great and all as far as allergy related. But my thing is, I'm like, if I get a dog, I want to get a dog. I don't want to get, no offense to anybody that has little dogs, but I'm like, I don't want a rat. I want a dog. So I'm like, I want something that's going to be medium sized roughly, but I want to know that I have a dog here. I don't want it just to be something small and tiny that you can just pick up and carry around everywhere. So I decided I would get a boxer. They're family friendly. I read some information that they get along well with cats and they get along with other family members and kids. So I'm like, well, it seems like the personality is perfect. They're goofy, they're funny. So I'm like, I can absolutely go for this. So I decided to get a boxer puppy. So I've been looking around different breeders. I looked at some locally and then some in other states. And I happened to come across this particular breeder a couple of states away. Because, you know, you see a lot of different boxers. Like, you see the athletic looking ones and then you come across those that are a little more stocky in their build. And so I'm like, well, I want one that looks athletic. And so I've been looking around a lot and I'm like, well, these dogs look really athletic looking. They don't look, you know, overweight. They don't look like just big and monstrous. So I was like, I'll go with them. They've got great reviews on Facebook, which they have a Facebook account and they have a lot of great reviews about them. So I thought I would contact this particular breeder. So I contacted this breeder and I initially picked out a fawn. And so the fawn dog that I picked out had a white stripe down the middle of the face. He was a flashy fawn. And so that's the puppy, when I went to pick him up on November 4th, that was the puppy I expected to see. However, when we got there, we had some issues kind of like meeting up with the breeder and we were at a gas station. So we were like, well, let's just meet at this gas station. And then of course it was like, I want to say during that time, it was like daylight savings time going on too. So for him, he was going by Central Time where he stayed. So Central Time was a little bit behind. So he was already a couple hours behind us. And so when we got there, he's like, oh, I'm sorry, you know, we just had daylight savings time. I didn't realize it. I hadn't thought about it. We hadn't thought about it either. So when we said we're going to meet at this time, we didn't realize that that time for us was a different time for him. So when we got there, he was not ready yet. So we sat for about an hour. We kind of drove around, did different little stuff, and just kind of waited for him. And then I was like, well, if I'd known, you know, there was going to be such a delay, we could have done something else just to kill some time. So we waited for at least an hour, and technically we waited a lot longer than that. And so we stopped at McDonald's, we got coffee, we got, you know, breakfast, some breakfast food to munch on, whatever. And so I finally got the text saying he was downtown, he didn't see us. So I was like, well, we're at this gas station. And then I sent him the address. And then finally he pulls up and I'm like, I think that's him. I don't know if that's him. So he gets out and then he pulls out a puppy. And I'm like, that is him. That's him. And the puppy is so, show you all a picture of what Jax looked like when he was a tiny, tiny puppy. So he pulls out a puppy and I see a puppy on the ground. And I'm like, that puppy is too tiny to be 8 weeks. Because technically, a puppy should be with its mother and be with its siblings until at least 8 weeks old. And then at 8 weeks, they can go to their families. Because at that point, they're weaned off of milk and they should be able to eat dog food or puppy food, technically. They should be able to eat puppy food at 8 weeks. So I already mentioned that the dog that I selected was a Flashy Fawn. But this dog was a Brindle, which Brindle is basically like, it's got red and black. So it's like got that red and black kind of mixture. And there is a Brindle and then there's a reverse Brindle, which the reverse Brindle is really pretty. It actually looks black, but it does have kind of reddish brown spots in it. You just can't see it as well. But anyway, this dog was a Brindle and it had a black muzzle. I didn't have the heart to say anything because when he handed me the puppy was like so excited, was licking my face all over. It was wiggling. And so I'm like, well, you know, this dog is like super friendly. I'm like, I don't have the heart to say this is not my puppy and to send it back. So my heart melted and I decided, well, I know that this is not the dog that I selected, but maybe this is the dog that I was meant to have. And so that's how I got him. And then my mom didn't know. My mom was like, well, if I'd known that that wasn't the dog that you wanted, I would have said something. Well, I didn't want to put him through any more trouble by saying this isn't my dog and then inconveniencing himself and myself. So I just went ahead and I'm like, well, I know this is not the dog that I selected, but this is the dog that arrived. So apparently this is the dog that the universe and that God is expecting me to have. This is a dog that's selected for me, even though I selected differently. So anyway, we get him in the car, we take him home, and I swear, he was like the tiniest little fur ball ever. Like, I was like, this dog is so tiny. But, okay, so his mom was 60 pounds, his dad was 70 pounds. And so, I think personally that he took more after his mom. He is not 60 pounds. He was born on September 4th of 2018. So he is a year and 8 months, not completely 8 months, but he's roughly about a year and 8 months, somewhere around that mark. So pretty much between 18 months and 24 months. So basically like a year and a half to 2 years, they reach their full maturity and they reach their full growth. So he's roughly at like 45 pounds now. Based on his frame, I think he's gonna be on the smaller end of the spectrum. I honestly don't think, like I personally don't feel that he is gonna get to 60 pounds. He might get to 60 pounds, but I honestly don't feel that he will, just because I kind of monitored like throughout his growth, like every couple of months, I would check these growth charts online. It's a form specifically for boxers. And you can find, like if you have a purebred dog, you can find a lot of different forums and chats online. So like if you run across issues or something like that, other people might have those same issues with your particular breed. It might be a breed specific issue. It might be just a dog issue. His head is not very big. Like you'll see a lot of boxers do have very big heads, and he doesn't really have a big head. So I don't think he's gonna be that large. It's fine because I'm like, well, personally, if I get a 60-pound dog, that's about half my weight. So for me to be walking around a 60-pound dog is going to be difficult. However, they do have head collars, which we can talk about that in another video. So you don't really have that pulling effect where you have to be able to pull your dog. You know, you just control them based on the head, which that is extremely helpful. I think he'll probably stay around 45. He might get to 50 He might not, but either way, I still love him regardless. He's really smart. He went through training as well. He did not go through PetSmart. He went through a local program. So we have like some local trainers that they charge for their training, and basically they do it like it's like once a week basically, and they get booked really fast. This particular group, they get booked really quickly. And so we did training with them, and he ended up being one of the star pupils in the class. Like, he's really smart. That's one of the things that's really good about him. He's really smart. He's really gentle. That is enough of that. I will go ahead and introduce you guys to him.
All right, you all. This is officially Jax. Hey, buddy. Hold on. Let's see. I can't get it. Oh. Look, man. Sit. Your boy. Hey, buddy.